pillars in our conference: digitalization ecosystem, digital innovation, digital AI, and digital entrepreneurship. It will be these sessions will be run by Professor Naing Yu. You can pronounce with your name. I hope I do it good. Thank you so much, Dr. Mu'nis.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I see one presenter, it's in the room. The other presenter chatting me in the WhatsApp, maybe will be coming in soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Should we get started at 9 when everybody's here?
You can start your presentation. I think you have your own presentation, right?
No, I'm the moderator. I'm the session chair.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. No. You ask me if I need to do the presentation. Can I do it? No problem. I think one of the presenter is there.
I didn't see any of my presenters here. Did you see?
No.
Probably I missed them.
Yeah. Yes. Lloyd. Can you pronounce what your name? Lloyd
Richard.
Roy Rochard.
Lloyd like Floyd, but Lloyd.
No, you can take Y and put Lord.
Yes.
Go ahead. You can start.
Alrighty. Let me share my screen here. And do you want me to take a little bit more time since the other presenters are not here, or do you want me to stick to the 15 minutes?
You have more than 15 minutes if you want to give us checking your slides slowly.
Okay. All righty. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Lloyd Richard, and here in Pensacola, Florida, where Dave and Patrick are. And I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this. A little bit about me. I retired as a civilian from the Air Force Research Laboratory, and I kind of do a lot of research in weapons, robots, and all kinds of stuff. But when I retired in 2012, I started, working in the startup world with my own startup, and leveraged the ecosystem quite a bit, and uh, so in the research world that I lived in, most of the projects that we worked on, were stuff that had never been created before. So we followed that research methodology. And then I noticed that research methodology was similar to the entrepreneur method in here in the startup world. And one of the platforms that allows you to follow that entrepreneur method is the Lean Stack program, leanstack.com with Ashmari. And I'm a level 3 certified coach, which only means that I've been through the business model design part and the demand validation and also the growth part of it here. So, and feel free to ask questions any time. And basically, I'm just going to kind of show you a transformation of where we were doing it back in 2022 and to today. And so the Kakura Institute, we do a lot of things, but one of the things we do is work with startup founders, trying to teach them the best practices for building a startup. So we leverage Lean Stack as a building block of taking the entrepreneur through this entrepreneur method. And we also partner with Startup Science back in 2023 or late 2022 as well. And they have a program that's based on not the milestones, but the stages that a startup goes to, whereas Lean Stack focuses on the milestones that a founder needs to reach. We also partner with Make Startups, who has a co-founder OS, and that's an AI-driven system to coach the founders and with their startup using AI. We also have a patent training program as well with one of our partners. Um, so, uh, so this, like I said, this is about a journey, and what I've seen, I've interviewed over uh, 400 founders, and it hurts me when I see a founder build something and it's beautiful, got a lot of features, but then they don't know how to sell it, and so in our demand validation program, um, that's where we teach them how to sell. So back we like I said, we were coaching manually the founders, um, not really leveraging AI back in until about the middle of 2023. We weren't using it all to help the founders learn, and then I sort of, with all the I know a lot about AI. I started developing funding research back in the 90s with AI for computing technologies. And so with the large language models, um, I was reading a article one morning, and it said 100x your startup. Entrepreneurs can 100x their startup with AI. And I said, well, I know about AI, but I never really applied it directly to like training, startups. And then so I asked ChatGPT, did it know about the lean canvas? It said yes. And then I told her, one of the founders' idea just briefly, and asked it to build a lean canvas, and it did. And then I gave it the prompt uh, uh, to we were going to have a demo day that night, and so I told it a little bit more about the founder's idea, and I put the template in there for the pitch deck and asked it to generate the pitch, and it did, and then from what I learned there, I emailed all the founders and that were going to be pitching that day, and it's 10 of them, and I said, try this out to make sure you got your pitch good. And three of the founders that reached out to me and worked with me a little bit that day, and they all won money that day, all three of them. And so that's when I started discovering the power of large language models, and that, and so that's kind of, and so now we're doing. Um, uh, Going from the large language model to AI agents, and then digging a little deeper into AI, and helping people, founders through AI native startups. Yeah, and so most of you are probably familiar with the lean canvas and the and stuff like that. But what when I tell people about the lean stack, and all lean stack means is just it's got a bunch of tools to help a founder uh, design a scalable business model, and then and learn how to pitch it clearly and concisely, and then move to validating the demand for that. So, like I said, it's milestone based, and so one of the key things in doing testing of your business model design is this minimal success criteria, and then the customer sizing, and you'll see how all this comes into play, and market sizing, and just coming out on the other end with that business model. And then once you reach this milestone, this model founder fit, then you start going in to customer problem fit, and that's problem discovery. And so what's kind of unique about this thing in a lean stack is that you when doing problem discovery, uh, you interview people who recently purchased something similar to what you're building, and so what you're trying to do is you're trying to learn these customer forces that causes a person to switch from what they're currently using to maybe switch to what you have when you finish when you get ready to pitch them your product or service. And so so this was a kind of a hard concept to get the founders to understand. So, most founders think they know everything about the problems and stuff. But anyway, so you interview a uh, um, broad customer segments, and then the platform has a what is called a customer forces AI, and so you upload those 10 to 15 interviews that you do from across several customer segments, and there's a script for that, and so this script is designed to once you get the answers to these questions, it can map that to the customer forces, and that's a key concept in artificial neural network that it's a to understand you can with artificial neural networks you can map anything to anything, and so it's a very profound thing. So what I suggest, those of you all not familiar with that concept, just kind of see what's the significance of that. But once you finish that 2 week sprint of broad match 10 to 15 customers, then you look at the jobs to be done, information that comes out of that. And if there's a significant groupment out of that 10 to 15, then you do a narrow, based on that job to be done, another 10 to 15 interviews. And then from that, you go to your solution design, which is a 5P matrix. And so the results of that customer forces and jobs be done, it maps directly into how you design your solution. And how you design your solution maps directly into how you do your market offer or sales pitch. And then you go out and try your market offer uh, sales pitch. And if it converts, you can go on, get those orders, and then take the orders and then build your MVP. And so, but if it doesn't convert, you go back to the problem discovery. And so this is when you think of the lean canvas that I showed you earlier, this kind of is kind of like both a milestone and a stress testing point of view of the process that you go through. And so what I noticed in working with founders and having like we would do this the first workshop, they get the big idea and put it on a canvas, then they would break it up into Ash calls it variance, but the average founder doesn't know what that variance means. So it's just breaking up into customer segments. So you do a lean canvas for each customer segment. And then you stress test each of those customer segments for desirability. Is your solution going to be a 3x to 10x better to be able to cause that switch from what the customer is currently using to what you have? And then the customer segments or product lines that pass that, it's a thought exercise, but it's only using the customer, the problem that customer have, and what they're currently using, and your unique value proposition. And so it leaves out the solution box. So it's called a why now elevator pitch, and the program has a template for this why now elevator pitch. And then the next this you do all this in 1 week, and then you go to a viability test where you're concerned about your revenue model and your metrics, and the metrics are standard. And in the platform, there's a tool called the Traction Roadmap, where based on your pricing model and that minimum success criteria I mentioned earlier, it helps you work backwards to see what you have to do now in order to reach your minimum success criteria, using a 10x scaling rate. And so so this particular tool, instead of having for a founder, instead of having these financial forecasts, it takes it back to what you have to do each month in order to reach your minimum success criteria. So the tool is very easy to use. It prints out a customer factory, and it prints out a traction roadmap and also a spreadsheet that allows you to see each month how many people you have to get in your sales funnel in order to reach the goal. And it turns I guess a financial forecast into actually what you have to do, which I think that's great. And then also during that third week, you do feasibility testing, but you use that same traction roadmap and printout to kind of help figure out what that is. And then the fourth week, which is not shown on here, you generate your business model story pitch. And so the phase of what I started doing, the founders were struggling with this process. Most of them didn't know how to fill out the lean canvas, and they would spend hours on it. And the instruction says, spend 20 minutes then. And so they didn't follow the process. So I decided to create a prompt that will take them from their idea to um, through this first process and build their pitch. So early on, before the deep research mode came in and these large language models, it would take less than 5 minutes to go from a business idea. Let me just show you here. I can just to save time. Let me find that pitch. Okay. So I think I have to get back here. I think I have to exit out of this for a second. Gonna get out of this. And so this pitch, this prompt, the person just had to put in their business idea and the industry, and then you go back over here, and then it would go through I'll just rephrase this a little bit and I'll show you more in a minute. But working in the research lab, what I learned, was you don't just jump into a business thing or a research thing blindly. You have to know the whole ecosystem or industry thing. And so you have to do it. So what I decided to do was before you do this big idea thing, I said, well, the first step in the prompt was, who are all the stakeholders and what are their pain points in that industry? So what that does, it lists all the stakeholders, customer segments, and for each one of them, it does list the pain points that I have. And so in the early days, it would, do that part. And so now the founder has a better idea of the industry they're in. And if they're building a solution, maybe they can incorporate some more of the segments. And that was my idea behind that. And because what I saw was founders would have an idea and they wouldn't think about all the different customer segments. They'll think about what they want. And then the next thing, what I did was in that second thing, the prompt was, I said, well, what are all the ways you can make money solving those uh, pain points? And then it would generate 10 to 15 revenue models, and then it would prioritize, the best. And then the next step I had to do was pick the top three revenue models or business models, and then turn that into this big idea canvas here. And then the next thing I had the prompt do was break it up into at least 5 other customer segments, and then do desirability tests, but not. I think I did put the template for the why now elevator pitch for this particular stress test in there, and so, but the AI literally looks at the looked at how big the market is, and it uses how big the market is a lot of times as opposed to just doing this desirability. And then after it does this, spits out these this why not elevator pitch for these segments here, then it goes over, it ranks them after that, and then it goes into doing the stress test for viability. But the tool is not in the prompt, so it definitely does based on how big the market is, and for doing this viability test, and also from a cost standpoint, it does the feasibility test. But ultimately, and then it prints out the what needs to go on each slide, and then also prints out a narrative of of the pitch. So does anybody have any questions so far on this? And I can show that real quick. Let's see. Go. So here is the prompt, and like I said, this is an updated version of the prompt that goes all the way through the 90 days and the marketing. And so one of our founders used a verbose discovery method, so I incorporated that into in the last month and a half, I incorporated that in there. And the as you can see, the workflow, I said the industry pain points first, this right here, and then you can see this one goes into more details, emotional and business impact. Whereas originally not using Lanika's prompting method, it didn't go into that much detail. Let's see, can I go this way? If you just bear with me here, let's see, can I do it a little faster this way? Okay, so pain points, business models, rank the business model by scalability, do the big idea canvas, the master canvas, create five customer segments, why not elevator pitch, rank for desirability, test for viability, and you see the prompt, it goes out and gets all this type of information and in order to stress test the viability, and then it creates feasibility, rollout plans, and then the template for the business model story pitch and demand val. Well, that's the next part. But yeah, so that's kind of what we started off with. So I think of it more like what we did in the Air Force Research Lab. If we were designing a weapon concept or a robotics concept, we would simulate it first and validate the simulation, and then we would start putting hardware in the loops. And so you can think of this kind of like the similar methodology. But what it does, it's just in the old days, 2023 days, it did it in 5 minutes or less. And then now with the deep research mode, it takes maybe 20 to 30 minutes, but it gives you more detail based on this particular prompting method. Any questions so far on that?
No, don't ask anybody
Okay.
about the question. You
Okay.
proceed and you will be quiet. And the questions or the discussion, no questions for our conference. It's last 15 minutes with the round table. Then take your time, enjoy. You have a 15 minutes. Maybe we will give you a little bit more.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
All right. All righty. And so this is kind of the process, the milestone process, traction roadmap process. And most of y'all should be familiar with this. You do your business model design to learn how to pitch it clearly and concisely. And then you do demand validation. And then you get value delivery stage here. And like I said, this is the prompt when I added the demand validation and evidence-based marketing to it, it actually came to 27 steps. But what was significant about this part right here, when you're doing the trying to see it, the demand, this pink is the demand validation. And so when you're doing those problem discovery interviews and generating those customer forces using the AI in the lean stack, what I realized back earlier this summer was that I asked ChatGPT, I said, how does customer forces and job to be done relates to marketing? And because I have had some intuition that it did, but it turns out those customer forces and jobs to be done is how you create your marketing campaign. But there's nothing in the platform that actually tells you and that was, and so that's where this particular stage where you get in here to this demand validation. And then after that, you do so in the demand validation, from the information based on the customer segments you work in, it can go in and generate the AI simulates generating the customer forces and job to be done. But the tool in the lean stack, it actually does it in a lot more detail, and you get a lot more rich data. But at least you understand what it means by when you using the prompt to kind of go through there. So Yeah, and then the 5P matrix after you, well, I forgot this part right here, where once you get your in designing your solution, you use this Kano model to figure out what are these firing and hiring criterias are, and then you go through your 5P matrix, draft your market offer, and so this is something new to demanding recommending validation experiments to and that's what this whole Ash is coming out with a new tool now called Lean Spark, and that's what it's all about. Is in each block of the Lean Canvas, it helps you understand what experiments you need to run to validate all the nine boxes in there, and so and that then this is where the marketing comes in, and so the bottom line here is with all that customer forces information, the large language models and all those things, they actually can help with a lot of this stuff. And as you see, mapping the customer forces job to be done to your sales funnel, um, crafting your segment specific messages, and testable campaign, and these compare cross segments, generate campaign creative brief, then marketing copy library, and so on. So this particular prompt, it could take anywhere from um, 20 minutes to an hour, but you go from an idea all the way to marketing copy, and so it's comprehensive. And so what we started doing earlier this year, we started taking the results of the business idea prompt, and then we would dump it over into Notebook LM, create an explaining video. I guess not the explaining video, we create a podcast, and then have the founders communicate with the podcast to kind of understand their business model. And what this whole process does, it moves the founder bias out of the way, but then they can come in once they open up their mind to things they never thought of and see how it aligns with what their idea is as well. Let me get here. So covered all that. And so this is kind of summarizes our approach on using the AI, and it's still always a learning process. So being an engineer, I never choose just one thing. I evaluate how things work. And what we found out in that particular prompt, Claude works the best, but it's still okay to use these other ones as well. And so we experienced problems with the founders and with the coaches. Um, so in helping the founders is how do you look at a traction roadmap and tell whether whether that pricing model is viable or not. And so we started using tools like TaskAid, Adaptive AI to build agents that would look at that result of that and go out and look at the market and figure out whether you could get with that viable with what's required each month, get people into your sales funnel. And then we also use the vibe coding for that as well. Plus, helping founders do research to see what's possible with AI. Because a lot of the founders, they're not familiar with AI enough to know what's actually possible. So a tool like Adaptive, you can ask it to do something and it will implement an AI just to kind of give you understanding that what AI is capable of doing. And so we had some of our students, we also work with students, and we had them evaluate some of these tools. And what we found was if you're doing an enterprise solution, you would use something like Factory AI, um, and Replit for enterprise solution because Factory, it started off in enterprise and then came to the consumer market. But the thing that has accelerated the learning more than anything else is this Notebook LM because the founders get to interact with the training material to understand what the training material is. And so, like for example, I would do a 2-hour workshop explaining something, and then use Notebook LM to dump the transcript in, and it would explain it in 10 minutes. So and not leave anything out. So it was pretty great. And yeah, and so we're still adding more tools to help the founders go faster. But the thing you have to remember, the old way. So what we're taking 120 days to do, we can use the AI prompt to kind of simulate that, and then but we still have the founder go through the process to get with real people and stuff like that. I'll stop right there. Just um, I can do what do you do? Yeah, I'm basically done, but I can elaborate on any of this.
Professor Naik, can you please chairing the session and ask about the next presenter? Mr.
Yeah.
Brian is there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Richard, for your excellent presentation. Mr. Richard is the board chairman of Kukua Institute in Florida. We really
Yes.
appreciate your insights.
All
And
right.
next, we will move on to Mr. Mattimore. Mr. Mattimore is the CEO of Growth Engine Innovation Agency. So, Mr. Mattimore, please share your screen and go ahead whenever you're ready. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Good morning. Let me see if we can figure out how to share the screen here. It's doesn't seem to be coming up, but let's see here. Does somebody want to give me some help with this? I'm trying to share it.
Let me see. Okay. I don't think I have the authority. Dr. Al Mubraki, could you please help us with the sharing function?
Let's
The
see
second
here.
presenter, it's in the way. She texts me, Mr. Brian can start till Dr. Ahlam is coming in.
Okay, so we have okay, all right.
You
I
have three presenter. The one presenter, it's finished, Mr. Brian and Professor Ahlam As-Silemi. It's a three presenter.
Yes,
Each
yes.
presenter have 15 minutes, and the last 15 minutes for open discussion between the speaker. Thank you.
Yes, we have Mr. Batmore with us. Mr. Batmore, yeah, we can see your share screen now.
Oh, you can.
We can
Okay.
see we can see your desktop, but we still cannot see your presentation.
Okay. Let's see here.
Yeah. But I think we are getting close.
Is that it? Can you see it now?
It's still buffering.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably you can try click that slice again and to see it's kind of frozen. Like we didn't, yeah.
So should I start over? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Let's try that. Does
Yeah,
that
we
get
can
us
see it
there?
right now, right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that full screen or let's see?
No, it's not full screen. We only
Oh.
can see, can you make it full screen? Yeah, I think this is good enough.
Okay. All right. And you just saw the advance, hopefully. I advanced it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So welcome, guys. Good morning, good evening, good night. Hello. And I have 15 minutes, I'm told. So it's about 5 minutes per section on this, hopefully. For the last 3 years, really, I've been exploring how to creatively use, the large language models, ChatGPT, all of them. But, in this case, I use ChatGPT. But it doesn't matter. You can use any of them. And what I wanted to share with you really is 3 separate areas where we're an innovation agency. We've been around for 25 years. Our clients asked us to come up with new stuff. And so I thought it'd be interesting just to spend 5 minutes on how we've helped with new products, growth strategies, and then I'm guessing some of you are aspiring or current authors. And so because I've written so many books, I thought it might be fun to share those as well. I talked about my background. These all these books that I've written here. Of these, Genius at Your Side, Quotes and Quirks are all AI assisted books. Idea Stormers is the ideation book, and 21 Days to a Big Idea was listed as one of the 60 best business books of all time. Okay, so here we go. As I said, I want to talk about prompting new products with AI, and a proven ideation technique, and developing new concepts, and then the new books thing. The key takeaway here, I was doing an assignment, and it was to create a new snack, and so I started with a couple of prompts, right? And then I realized that I could really push AI to get even more and more specifics besides form and flavor, which are if it's a food product, those are the two ways you get it often the two ways that you get at new product food ideas. And so I pushed it and I said, gosh, and you can see the criteria here. Could you create a new handheld, plant-based, healthier, baked, on-the-go snack for a kid's breakfast alternative to compete with Pop-Tarts inspired by French cuisine? And I thought with all those criteria, it would frankly blow up and say, we're not doing it. And I was amazed that and this is an example of one of the results. I highlighted one of them that I thought was really good. And so the takeaway for you guys, and many of you I'm sure know this, but specificity, like in the world of ideation prompting, is key. And the more and more specific you get, the better and better ideas you'll get. Okay. And if you have questions on this, we can deal with them at the end. But I want to, be very conscious of time here. So that's the new product insight. Now, these are some of the ideation techniques that we use in our innovation agency work. And it's important to know that these are not only for new products. It could be for cost cutting. It could be for logistics, supply chain, strategy. You can use these techniques, and part of my expertise, I guess, is knowing which techniques work for different kinds of challenges, right? And so the biggest takeaway, I think, for you guys today is, besides just prompting with a question like I just did with the specifics of the new product, you can also prompt by combining it with an ideation technique. And the one I picked here was TRIZ. I think one of your other presenters is going to be talking about that. If you don't know it, it was invented by Altshuler, a Russian. They identified 40 principles of invention. The great thing is that the AI programs know TRIZ, so you can just say use the 40 principles to invent something new. And so what I did was I took some of those principles and I reverse engineered it. I was curious how it would have worked with a project we had already done like 5 years ago. And as you see, I picked number 7, and we're working on Chips Ahoy. And these were some of the ideas that came out when I prompted it with AI. And these were some of the ideas that we launched with them before AI existed. So the point here is that AI, sort of knew they anticipated what products we might have launched, and so there they are, right? So that's what I want to say about new products. Again, we can talk about this in the question section. We're going to move on now to strategy, and I got permission to share this. We've worked with TCU, which is a well-known American university in Fort Worth, Texas, and we've now done 6 strategic plans. This was a plan for their geology department, and our bias when we do strategic planning work is that people do not. They don't put enough creativity in their strategic planning. It's not just looking at the rearview mirror and the current state and projecting forward. It's coming up with new ideas, and when you come up with new ideas, that can dramatically affect your strategic plan, right? So this was one of the ideas that came out of our ideation with the geology department and team, City Shield 2030. This was for the Fort Worth area in Texas. And so this was one of the ideas: harness the heat beneath Cowtown. They called Fort Worth Cowtown. And you can see what we did here. We had AI create the visual. And of course, as you know, if you try to create visuals with AI, it's really bad on the spelling thing. I'd sometimes have to do it 20 or 30 times to get a visual where they weren't misspelling words. And even so, they still misspell words. But the advantage of presenting ideas in these sort of billboard, we call them billboards, headline, visual, reason to believe, is that you can really crystallize an idea beautifully, right? So here we go. So now, so we have this basic concept of heating, and with geothermal energy, right? And so but that's just the first step. How do you use AI to help you dimensionalize this concept? And so we came up with these 6 criteria, and we said, give us this, as I said, the key visual, which I talked about. What types of research is involved? The TCU and partners or departments, resources, target partners, and overall attractiveness of this idea. We had about a dozen different ideas we were using. So the point here is what? It's not just the idea. We want to innovate that idea. We want to make this idea happen. And to do that, we have to basically figure it out, right? So, as I said, here was the idea. And so round one, as you can see, what are the elements, type of research involved? And if you look at types of research involved, geez, we need to do geological and hydrological surveys and economic forecasting, et cetera, et cetera. And so we did this for each of the criteria, which departments are involved, what resources are required, et cetera, right? And target partners, overall attractiveness. What the key sharing here for you guys is that we're not done yet, because it's not superficial, because it's really good, this first round. But then what we did, we went into those each specific areas and said, now you said, for instance, in the resources required for geothermal, we want advanced geological and hydrological equipment. What kind of equipment? So we really pushed each of the components here. Excuse me, hold on a second. We pushed each of these components to say, well, what really is it and how does it work? And you can see here, it gets very, very specific, right? Modeling software, where does the funding come from, et cetera, et cetera. And so we did that. I just shared 2 of these specifics, one around resources. And again, you can see the level of specificity here. And then secondly, I said, you mentioned partners, energy companies. Well, what energy companies and how would it work? What technology firms, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you get it. The point here is it's not level 1 or 2. It's kind of level 3 where you push and push and push. And now what did we do with this? We took all this output and we went to all of the geological scientists at TCU and said, to create a grant proposal or to get funding from the university or from the city of Fort Worth, what do you think of what AI has done here? And so we have to check it, right? In 90% of the cases, AI was really, really good. They said, wow, they kind of nailed it. And how much time did this save the geology department? Now, we had 12 of these, right? It would have taken probably a month or so to really vet this one idea. And here it was, we literally did it in hours, right? Okay, so that's an important point of, I think, creative uses of AI is innovation, if you will, concept development or innovation development. And in this case, we were using it for strategic planning. Okay, all right. So now we're on to this third area. I included this just because I thought it would be fun. I think many of the consultants I know, many of the people who are pioneers in a field, as many of you are, whether it's specifically with AI or AI uses in your department or company or industry. And so I just thought it'd be kind of fun to share some insights into how I've used AI to generate new books. By the way, I'll tell you, I have a new one. I'm not going to tell you the title of it, but in about a month, I will have a new book coming out I will tell you that one of the components of the chapters was tell me about the research that supports the points we're making, right? It's a book on influence, right? I said, well, what are all the research studies that would support that? And I just want you to know that I did that round. I was really happy. Then I went back and I checked all the references and resources. I click on a resource, or I research a resource, or a reference, I guess is the better way to say it, a reference. And it said, well, we don't know this reference. And I'm like, well, you created it and you don't know it. So then my second round, trying to be creative about it, I said, well, what is a URL? That way I figured it would not be making hallucinating and making stuff up. Well, it gave me a URL, and of the really over 50 research scientific papers I clicked on, only 2 of them were valid. So the point here is, in my 4-month experience, you have to be really, really careful and you have to check all your sources. So anyway, these are the 3 books on the left there are all books that I've written and that are out there. And if you remember, one of the things I talked about, 6 minutes ago was it's really, really powerful to combine AI with a challenge with an ideation technique. And so in this case, I combined AI with the notion of great thinkers. And so I had a quote from Tolkien, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and stuff. Not all those who wander are lost, which I thought was a cool quote. And then I said, I used AI to imagine, I had a short bio of Tolkien. And then I said, what did you mean by this quote? And it said AI said some interesting things. And again, this is a technique we call great thinkers, right? And you can use it for any challenge you have. And then I said, Stephen Sondheim, the great lyricist and songwriter for Broadway. What do you think of Tolkien's quote? And it got and I said, reference his works. And then I said, Amelia Earhart, General Grant, etc. So this was really fun, right? And then finally, the key, one of the great things was, like me, you may hear a quote and you say, well, that's kind of fun, and then you kind of forget it. And I said, well, I wonder if AI could tell me how to live the quote. And so that's what you see here. Here, a half dozen ways we as individuals can do purposeful wandering, and you'll see. And so the book has over 350 activities to help you live these quotes. Okay, and I'm not showing you to sell books. I'm showing you how, again, you can push AI to give you stuff you would never thought of. Just very quickly, then I had the idea again, genius at your side. This was again sort of mashing up challenges with personal, if you will, personal needs or wishes for everyday things, everyday problems. So how do I lose weight and keep it off? Who would be good to talk to me about that? Well, how about Harry Houdini? And that's who I had in the book. A more impactful social media post. What person in history would be great for that? Hemingway. Okay. Yeah. Because he wrote short, right? Concise. Friend deal with the loss of a loved one. Maya Angelou. Difficult boss. I loved this one. Mr. Rogers, if you know Mr. Rogers in the US. Friends with addiction, Ray Charles, yes, etc. How can I make cleaning seem less painful, maybe even fun? Who would make cleaning fun? Charlie Chaplin, etc. And so the point here is what? The point here is you can use AI to imagine what these great thinkers would recommend, and it can be very powerful. And you might question, well, is that valid or not? Well, the AI is really good because it does look at all their works and looks for quotes and does support to some extent the points it's trying to make. The last thing I will share with you on the last, what do I have, 3 minutes here or so, is, if you look at the research, the BCG study about over a year ago, their finding of their 750 or so Boston Consulting Group consultants was that AI was good at sort of helping you develop ideas, but it was not particularly good at coming up with big ideas, core concepts. And so I said, well, geez, I wonder if you could get a book idea that was unanticipated and what I would consider a big idea. And so I prompted and prompted and prompted and got, hundreds of possibilities. Well, this was one idea that came out, the creativity paradox. I think this is potentially a really interesting idea for a book. It gets at Shauna Yanagar's research into that famous study she did of buying jelly in buying jellies in a country store, that if you have five types of jelly out there or 20 types of jelly out there, you're going to sell more if you only have five types of jelly. So the notion is you want to limit your choices to sell more. And so that's what this is about. It's counterintuitive, right? How too many choices stifle innovation. So now I have this concept, right? And then, of course, I used AI to create the visual. And then I said, well, give me 24 chapters, right? Which it can do. And then, because I wasn't sure it could actually do this, right? And then I pushed it again, and I picked one of the chapters, and I said, write a 1,200 or 1,500 word or 2,000 word chapter on each of these 24 titles or subtitles or chapter titles. And I gotta say, the results were really great. So if anybody's looking for a book to write, you can certainly write this book. I have 10 other books in the queue here, so this is not one I'm going to write. But the bigger takeaway for you guys is you can actually use it to help you come up with big ideas. The way I did it was I was saying, I'm an expert on ideation and innovation. I gave it obviously some areas of interest and passion, and just prompted, and it came up with stuff. And so that's really my presentation. I think I'm right at 15 minutes here. I've got some free resources here for you. There's Creative Techniques to Solve Impossible Challenges. That's my TEDx talk. That's really, I think, quite good. It talks about how to apply different techniques for different kind of challenges. And then here are a bunch of free articles. And then, as I say, here are some of my books. Okay, so I'm looking forward to hopefully I'll stop sharing to hope, and they'll get these slides, right? I think everybody will get these slides, I hope. I'll stop sharing here, and hopefully, any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them when we do the question thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr.
You're welcome.
Matmore. Yeah. Thank you so much for the insightful presentation and all the wonderful resources you're sharing in our presentation. And now we will hear from our final presenter, Professor Alam Aslam. Dr. Aslam is Associate Professor of Chemistry in the University of Jeddah. So Dr. Aslam, are you with us right now in the Zoom room? Probably she's still on the way.
Makes me feel better that I had trouble sharing the slides. And somebody else
You're totally
here.
fine. You're totally fine. You're good. That's wonderful. All right.
She's not in the room. You can continue the session discussion between Brian and between the others, because there are a shortage also of time. We need to close it at 6 o'clock.
They are here.
Yes.
So Ahlam Salam is there.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I think she's here. Thank you so much for joining us. Please go ahead and share your screen with us whenever you feel ready. The floor is yours.
Okay, just I will give me a minute to upload or share the screen if there is.
Sure, take your time, please.
I think you can see.
We can. Is
available now?
It's a little bit small, maybe.
So I think it's this. So thank you for inviting me for this discussion. I am interested to deliver innovative and lab synthesis product to be in the marketing I am Ahlam As-Sulami from University of Jeddah. We have a good collaborator with the industrial partner like SABIC, Aramco, University, King Abdulaziz University, KAUST, and so on. We are interested to develop and build the city with like a smart city using a new valuable technique, especially for the AI, to be integrated for the product to be much more easier for the researcher and application. With the vision of Saudi Arabia, we are interesting, as you have seen in the last year, through the all categories related to the people. So we are interested for to people being safe, the environment being safe, and also for the partner any part of city as a smart city building up. So we have synthesized some of class novel of the triple nano composite based on the polymer for the logistic view. Why logistic view? As we have threatened the southern area in the Red Sea, and I am in Jeddah, located in the closely to the Red Sea. This issue actually was it takes time with us, about 5 years. If you remember the Safir ship and how much it's the biggest transportation ship for the oil, and this actually has been threatened that area and environment about 5 years without any action. So in that period, I was thinking about the synthesis of nanoparticle that have advantage to remove some dye, like a dye removal agent. But actually, our product, it has multifunctional effect. As I go back after the corona issue and the late time that we have facing at that period, so I go to my lab and try to find that material that I have already succeed to prepare and examine for the dye removal. And then I tried just for the moment that we have that issue for the oil spilling in the water and the issue for the sulfur transportation ships. Then I thought that maybe that nanoparticle can be working for the oil spill issues. So why I thought that? Actually, because the nanoparticle or triple nano composite that I am working on, it was have multiple function related to the size controlling, the high ability for absorption, the aggregation control, and also increasing the surface area, improving the thermal mechanical property, and enhancing the magnetic property. So these all properties, I just take a second to think about those functions together and to highlight each part or each function to be in that application. So I just tried to realize what the connection between them and how can be applied. So the easiest way to prepare or synthesize the triple nano composite is that using the copper septation method, and this is the lowest cost and that's the valuable material that I can have in my lab that time for the limiting of fund. So in that period, I just thought that nanoparticle can be targeting different and multiple applications. So I start with the thing, the first part I was started on for the cleaning, the dye spill in the water. I take sample from industrial disposal water. And they was using azyrene dye, and this is so cancer, like a cancer agent, and making health issue. Then I thought that nanoparticle maybe can fix and being familiar for the removing of oil. So you can see in the testing image, I have tried with the oil spill, and it was succeed. and at that time I didn't realize the main reason for that one. I go further and I would trying to check the electrical property and optical property for that nano composite, and was giving excellent results related to the solar panel and the application that we're targeting for the generating of AC or a current, continuous current instead of the fluctuation. So I keep just thinking about this multiple application for the one using one material or one synthesized nanoparticle. I thought that maybe I can go further once I understand and get more close for the application that can be applied or enhanced on. So by realizing the factor that already playing an effect and direct function for the synthesis, which is related to the durability and lighting and also for the flexibility, which is modified by the polymer, then I realized maybe I can get that control. Depends on the ratio that I play on when I synthesize my component. Then I can control also the application. So I start from the beginning. I do the different ratios of the synthesized composite, and I have succeeded to get a good result related to the comparison of polymer or trimeric structure. So this trimeric structure, it was first, it's a novel structure that have been applied and have patentable project. And it's running now as a patent as a confidence. So this can be actually for the literature review. I go for the thiophene, as thiophene having many of application related to the electric and the electric part. So at that time, I just take a moment, think about what that application can be going through and keep for the patentable idea. Then I realized all the functionalized all the part that I have on my component. So I put each part and put their realistic function. Then have a main dramatic issue, which is related to the shielding and deshielding effect. So, you know, in the morning, for example, it has different time since morning until getting during the night. So this effect can be actually having main issues related to the running of the color of the current or losing the current. So in the triple nano composite that we have used, actually we can save about 20% of the current that can be lost by applying the product as a bypass diode. What I can do, actually, it can make the circle of the current being in the same circle without any offloads. So this making a controlling for the solar panel service and keeping the service, the current in the service without huge or without losing of the current. So what's the key of this application? Actually is related to controlling actually the temperature, controlling the current flow, and also controlling the voltage and material degradation. So all these factors, if we could going through and giving them what they need for the control the solar panel, then we can controlling the losing of the current. So if we know that in the USA they are actually they have about 200 million ton of the solid waste related to the panel or photon voltage in the solar panel for the end life of this solar panel. So we are thinking that if we use this kind of diode bypass, we can actually controlling and make lowering the effect of this loss of the waste to be lower than 1 million ton instead of 200 million ton, which is actually we are talking about huge of money that can be just losing without any impact benefit. So in that way, we can saving the money, we can saving solving the issue of current, and also we can give a good interpretation for the solving this issue. So how actually this bypass product, it has a lower cost, as we are using a triple nano composite with the highest of service area. We can controlling the issue and making it much more lower, and also we can solve the issue that all that we are facing in Saudi Arabia related to the season of Hajj and the people that are coming from the international areas in one spot during the Hajj, and also the consuming of electric, it will be so high at that period, which is need a lot of maintenance and consuming a lot of huge of money to keep the current unfluctual and keeping as AC. And actually this one of our interception for the RDI, one of the project funding project in Saudi Arabia that are give a chance for solve this issue. So at the end, I just would like to mention that AI, it can give a clear and a magic tool if the researcher can make if they can make they can use this tool wisely. How? If, as I mentioned to you, as the triple nano composite I have used, it has a function as energy storage for the cytotoxicity effect. It has an electric effect and have a medicinal effect, and also it can be solved for the logistic issues can threaten the area. So these points actually have been tested. As you can see, one of the tested point, it was related to the oil spill. So by using the same building triple nano composite, we can succeed to save our environment from the oil spill. So oil spill can be one of the huge issue that can facing the Gulf area and also the IUPAC countries related to the transportation, at least. So they need a lot of maintenance, a lot of.
I'm sorry, Dr. Aslam. I'm afraid that we're approaching to the end of this session. We're running out of time.
Okay,
thank you so much for your insightful presentation. And I want to thank all our presenters for those insightful, engaging talks. And this is for me to conclude our session. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.